Well, I got the roof back on, and it's still not straight. It's kind of crazy how crooked these things are from the factory. I thought I had things misaligned terribly on the driver's side. Over there, with the way the corner molding laps and all that stuff, it looks terrible. But then I come back over here, and everything's lined up perfectly. I don't know. It's been stretched between the old trusses on this roof, between the old rafters, and now it's got sheeting under it, so it's holding at the center, and this is all domed up. Not much I can do about it unless I replace it all, and I'm not going to do that. I got butyl tape all the way around every seam, that everywhere. And they had a stapler, I didn't, so I went through and I screwed every 3 inches all the way around. So I think the rear section, I need to put one more row of screws in back there, but other than that, it's all screwed off, holding down tight into that butyl. Then I'm going to actually wrap the whole thing in butyl again, so all these screw heads, all these holes, everything will be underneath another layer of butyl. I got to scrub this edge before I do that, but then I'll put the aluminum molding over the top that'll hold and seal everything. So we should be pretty well waterproof. I did find there was one spot back there that has a slight tear in it, in the aluminum. A tree limb or something fell on it back in the past, and I was gonna patch that from the inside. Well, I forgot to, so I do need to make sure that I get that patched over on the outside and be good there. But I'm just happy now that I have the roof sealed up, and I can work on all my corner moldings. I'm going to do the same thing, pull them off, clean out all the old sealant that was on them that isn't stuck to anything. It just leaks like crazy. I'm going to butyl all that. I'm going to pull all the windows out. The door needs some work still, but I just about have this thing to where I can actually dry it in and park it outside again, get it out of my shop. Because you've seen it, but this is ridiculous. I have no room in this shop right now, and I'd like to have my shop back. So anyways, this project can wait. I'll keep plugging away on it as I have time, but it's not a big rush. I want to get back on the big Jeep, or on the new Jeep. And anyways, just keeping you updated. All right, so I'm gonna get ready to put the molding on. I got the roof all sealed up, everything. This molding was really bowed, so I didn't video it. I'll video doing the other side. But all I did was all these screw holes were puckered towards us in this, from the screw going in from this side. It's soft aluminum, so all I did was lay it down on that sheet of plywood and then also use my vise. There we go. And my hammer, my ball peen. I used the back of the ball peen just to smack these back flat. That way I could kind of keep from smashing these little ribs on the inside. So I'm going to scrub this up, and then I'm going to take it up on the roof. Let's see. Actually, I went and got one of our local hardware stores, got in some of the butyl putty tape, and so I bought 2 rolls of that at 60 feet. But that'll get me both sides, the whole roof, down the front and the back, hopefully around the door and all 3 windows. So I can seal up everything on this and never have to worry about this again. Well, I lied to you guys. Sorry. I completely spaced straightening that other piece out. So I ended up straightening it out, and I got them both put on. Had to do a little reshaping with the hammer. The underlayment that I put around off the roof over the edge, I've got to actually go through and trim that all off, but I can't find my razor knife, so I'll do that later. But those side rails being on and sealed up, the only thing really left is to seal up. Let's see, how am I gonna, I got to get some sealant to put over the seam here, and the one at the break and the one at the back. Get those sealed up, and then I want to take it outside and scrub the whole roof, and then I'm gonna probably hose it with Flex, or try and find some sort of RV roof sealant that I can put on there that is better than Flex Seal. I don't know. Anyways, that's all that's left to do up on the roof, though. Right now, I'm actually turn you back around. I'm in the process of cleaning up around this window. I had to take it off to replace the wood all the way around it. And so I got the window over on this side, and I am getting all the butyl off the back of it, which honestly there's only this one piece left. So when I took the window out, that's why that window was rotted out. That's the only section that was still stuck. There was hardly any stuck around the window. So I'm gonna clean this up real good with a wire brush, wipe it off, and then I'll butyl this. And I already kind of scrubbed the other side, and so I'm gonna go and stick it up there. I got new screws. It's screwing into new wood, and this window should be sealed when I get done, other than the fact that it's a 1960s trailer house window that probably doesn't seal anyway. All right, well, that's a relief. Having those roof strips on, and I got that window put back in, so those are huge. Still have a bit more to do for the weatherproofing on this. I'm gonna pull the other two windows out, and the door, if you remember, I've got to cut that 2x4 out of the bottom and lower that door down to floor level again, which is going to leave me a gap up here. I'll have to piece back in, and I need to try and find something to put on that's kind of like this tin. I don't know if anybody has suggestions. By the time you guys see this, I might have it already figured out. But anyways, I'm getting so close to having this thing sealed back up so I can just get it out of my shop. This is the worst my shop has ever been. It is an disaster. Just garbage everywhere from that project. I can't get this table where it goes, so it's just sitting here collecting junk. That I was using that bandsaw. I made a mess there, but I have all this other stuff that needs to go other places. That Jeep's just collecting garbage. The insulation's gonna go away. It's going inside the trailer, but I'm changing work pickups tomorrow, so I actually I had to gut everything out of the work pickup and put it in my shop so I can put it in the new pickup tomorrow afternoon. But then you go up there and it's just more and more junk everywhere. So as soon as there's the front piece of metal for this camper, it had a big hole in it, I think from hitting the propane tank. And so I laid it down. I tried to kind of straighten it back out. A bunch of these ribs were smashed in, and so I tried to reshape those a little bit. So that piece needs to go back on right there, and I can put this trim piece back on that's just sitting on top of my other Jeep. But it's just a lot of stuff that needs to go on to get it sealed up. And then I have the paneling that I'm going to put inside. It's all stacked up right there. So I'll probably, before I put it outside, instead of having to store this stuff until I get to it, I'm probably just going to go ahead and insulate it and put the paneling in. Then we can get it painted and probably get the linoleum. We're going to put linoleum in it. Get the flooring put down, and then it's just a matter of building the inside of it, which won't take very long. It sucks. It's a project I didn't need. Didn't even know that I was gonna do it, but when I saw it and asked about it, I ended up getting it. I was like, all right, try and get this one done real quick, and then get back on the new Jeep. And I don't know, I got too many projects, not enough time, and no money, so makes it difficult. Today we're going to focus on getting this front sheet of aluminum put back on, getting the moldings all put back on. I've got the butyl putty tape to do all my corner moldings. Hopefully I have enough, but they had another roll at the hardware when I bought the 2 rolls that I did, so I might have to run and get that. I'm going to peel off all the existing stuff and reseal it. I'm going to pull out the back window and the front window, reseal those. The door window, I think, is sealed still. It doesn't show any signs of leaks, so I think I'm just going to roll with it. I can always pull it off at a later date. That's an easy one. Other thing I got to do is cut out the doorway and lower the door before I reseal it. It needs the same butyl, so I'm looking at it right now. I'm going to have to go get that other roll, which is fine. But yeah, if I can get the door lowered, the windows resealed, and all the corners sealed up, the front pieces on, then this will be a watertight box once again. and I can move it outside, other than I need to cut out for the fenders. The tires actually hit the floorboards the way it sits right now, so I do need to cut those out, and I want to build boxes up and around them. I'm gonna have to, I don't know how I'm gonna do it exactly, because I'm gonna be putting bigger tires on this thing, but I need to get the different axle cut down and put in place, and then the tires on that to figure out how big to build the fender boxes. So I might just, they drag on the floor, but it's not that big of a deal. I might be able just to park it outside the way it is until I have the time to do that. We'll just see how it goes. This right here is the reason why I gotta reseal everything. So the old butyl is not bonded to anything anymore, and it just flakes off. So water just wicks between this and runs through everything. So that new stuff is awfully sticky, and you know, this stuff was on there for 60 years. So hopefully the new stuff will last another 60, and by that time this trailer's probably gonna be junk. But yeah, we'll just get the butyl and reseal this stuff. I'll probably take these sheets, see how that's puckered, and I'll lay them down and actually tap them back out flat with the hammer. That way it should seal better. Try not to over tighten the screws when I run them in. Yeah, that reminds me too, I need to go and track down some longer screws. If these go back into the original screw holes, I don't think they're gonna hold much tension. And so I need to get longer screws to get past. These were only 1/2 inch long. I'm gonna put 1 inch long screws in it. Those should be short enough that they won't go through anything. But I wanna make sure that this stuff actually goes on and stays tight over time. All right, before I can put this nose piece back on, there's all these old staples that are still in the aluminum. So I gotta try and work those out without messing the aluminum up. Once I get these out, I don't have a staple gun. I'm just throwing everything on the floor over there so I can sweep it all up later. I don't have a staple gun to put this style of staple back in. So I've actually just been using gold drywall screws. And that basically is just holding the aluminum in place until I put all these screws in every 2 inches apart. Those are what actually have the strength to hold it. So I just got to get these stapled out, and then I can run the screws in to hold it all together until I can get it sealed up. They don't like to come out very well. They're rusted, and half the time you end up cutting them in half trying to get them off, which is fine because they actually pull out easier once you cut them in half. They don't bind up as bad. One more on this side, then I will go and do the other side. I'll do the other side off camera. It's not that fun to watch me snip staples in half. There we go, this side's cleaned up and ready. I'll get the other side cleaned up and ready, and then I'll try and find a spot to set the camera up for you guys. But as you can see, I'm very limited on space over where I gotta be to put this thing on. So might be limited on camera view. All right, I'm gonna try not to show my butt crack too much, but well, I'm kind of known for it always hanging out. So no promises. There's a tight fit to get anything done in here right now. There we go. So, I've got to find where this piece laps. I wish I had another person here. It'd be really nice to try it. And of course, I replaced all the wood here, so there's no existing screw holes to go off of. Now I gotta figure out where to screw this thing back on. actually right here in the center. You guys can't see it, but there's a hole here. Yeah, this one here I can actually line something up with. It's about the only one on this whole sheet, but it might work. Now, if that's just holding this one in place, I'm going to have to pull it back out before I stick the upper layer over the bottom layer. But that holds it kind of where it's supposed to be, to where I can start fitting everything else. I think this will work just fine, actually. That actually lines up really nicely. Cool. That makes me happy. So I'll just stick a few in the upper corners to hold those, and I can pull that one out, pull the upper down, and get that top row of screws in there to make sure it's as square as it was from the factory. Which I have learned throughout this project so far is this thing wasn't even square from the factory. It was way off. I think they just slapped them together and called it good back then. This side, check fit real quick. See any of this? I know, I'm sorry. Need to get those to line up. Okay, I think right there is about where this needed to be. Okay, that one went back into nothing actually, so that's awesome. It did line it back up though, so that is actually good. I can line these corners up. This corner trim, if I can get these holes to line up, then I know that I'm in the right area as well. Now, granted, all this stuff's gonna come back off. There's a staple hole. We'll try that. Okay, that's screwed in and is holding, so that's good. Alright, so let's see if this side lines up worth a darn with anything. That might, those staple holes there might line up too. That did line up like perfectly. Okay. Pull this middle screw out. At the top, I can't use that hole, I guess, because that's a screw hole for the trim piece. So I'm just gonna go through and run these screws into these staple holes that are everywhere. And that'll hold this whole top piece in place where it needs to be. So when I put the trim on, I don't have screws in the way to where it can't go on. Thing with running these screws in is I try to run them in pretty quickly and let off so I don't burn them out, but if you run them in quick, you can get them to dimple that tin to where they sit flush across the head and they don't give you a high spot. That's actually holding really nice. I like that. I think we'll put another one or two out over here and a couple more across the front just to hold it all nice and tight. And we'll be moving on. I might even, before I do the sides, because the sides have the trim pieces, I might try and basically just stretch this bottom into place and pull this sheet as tight as possible so it doesn't pucker and buckle and all that stuff. We'll see on that. Ooh, just about stabbed myself with a drill or with an impact. There we go. Remember, I put that tin on the inside right here on these corners, so I just screwed through a couple layers of that and into the wood. It felt like it bit nice and hard, so that's good. Alright, two more across here. I'm liking it. Now I didn't butyl this edge because it has such a long overlap on it. It overlaps 3 inches and everything's gonna fall down. Nothing's gonna want to creep back up that 3 inches. So I'm not gonna worry about it too much. But yeah, so it's on. And like I said, I'm gonna try and put the bottom row of screws in, stretch this as tight as possible, and then I'll worry about throwing a few down each side to hold it. And then we'll focus on doing molding. I need to take a wire brush and clean up all these molding edges to where that butyl has nice clean surface to bond to, but that won't take long. And we'll keep plugging away. Okay, I haven't been videoing, sorry about that. So what I found is that piece there, I actually need to tuck it in on the other side. I've got it fit around the front of the body of the camper here. And then I got this piece cut. Oops, sorry, back up a little. I got this piece all fit and trimmed here for the doorway. It doesn't go all the way down, but I think I actually have a trim piece that'll go with this one. I'm just peeling the stuff off there. But that'll fit there, and actually the whole works needs to slide forward, it looks like. But so this will fit this spot, and then that piece there I will trim to fit this side. This bottom edge where it's all messed up, that used to wrap around the bottom of the floor, but I lifted the floor, so on this side all I did was roll it up underneath and pinch it down. I got a pair of duckbill pliers, and so I'm just making that a much cleaner line there, and then I'll seal it when I screw all this together for the last time, but that'll give it a nice crisp line. So I'll do the same thing there and the same thing on the other side. And yeah, I'm gonna keep going on this, try and get this thing sealed up today. All right, so I trimmed that lip off, and actually it would have fit just fine. I don't know what was going on with my little test fit that I did, but yeah, that fits actually very nice, and it's fine. It's flush with the inside edge there, and there'll be another trim piece that goes over, so I'm not worried about it. Everything's sealed up pretty decent. I'll slap a few screws in it to hold it in place where nothing moves. But yeah, all we have left to do is the very back piece, and it's just a straight piece, which is leaned up against the wall there. I did my corners on both sides wrapped around, and then that one will just cap over the top, come out flush to the edge there. So then we'll have the wood sealed up all the way around. And then when I do the final screw down on this siding, I'm probably going to shoot a big fat bead of Lexel up in there. And then actually, let's look. Yeah, I was hoping from the inside I'd be able to squirt some in there, but I don't think I will. So I'll just have to try and seal it as best I can. This old tin is really, it was so bent and beat up, and now it's really warped. And I'm going to try and hit it with a torch and shrink it. I did a little bit of that on the roof and it worked. I don't know if it's going to work down here on this, but hopefully I can shrink those sides back up a little bit to where they pull tighter and be less to seal. Otherwise it'll just be quite a few more screws across that bottom lip. But I got to do that on both sides. And once all that sheet metal's done, you can see the sides buckled and puckered everywhere. That's the same thing. So Once I get this last bottom piece here, I'll try and get those sides shrunk up some. And then the last thing to do is go and pull all these off, strip the butyl out of them, and put them back on, screw them on, good to go there. And then pop the back window and the front window out and butyl the door in. I do need to find another chunk of sheet metal for right here to cover that. Since I lowered the door 3.5, 4 inches, I got to do that. But I'm thinking I might just cut a piece of this off and use it to make that lip. So we'll see what I end up doing here. All right, so it's kind of cool. I built this shop 3-4 years ago, and when I built it, the dimensions, I ended up with all these extra pieces of molding and sheet metal and stuff. And I didn't throw them away because, like, I needed 3 feet, so I had to buy a 10-foot stick, so I had all the remnants, so I'll just hang on to it. Those have been sitting up on a shelf for this whole time, and honestly, I've had just about enough to do everything on this except the one piece I had to get from my dad, who also ran into the same thing on his house. He's been storing it up in the attic. He just happened to see it a couple days ago and realized that he had the piece. So I'm using up all this stuff, and it's awesome. I still have to put the piece on the back, and then I just went and found this piece. Well, this piece here is actually a pretty good dimension to be able to cut and make a patch panel to cover all of that, tuck it up in the lip here to where it's waterproof, and then make it just as wide as the door so it comes down and sheds water. So that'll be perfect. So yeah, let's get to stripping some of that junk off of there, and we'll put this back piece on, and then we'll go to working on the door. Alright, so I got it on there. Once again, things are not square, plumb, anything like that, but it does at least lap. I'll be able to silicone it. I only have one screw in there, and then I was like, oh shoot, I probably better put a string line across before I put the rest of them in, so they're all even, because you will see this part. I forgot I have to patch up this hole right here, and then this corner here, the way the sheet metal fits is not good, so I'm gonna have to do like I did on the front, and I'll actually have to use a hammer. I'll stick down one piece, and then I'll have to bend the other piece over around it, and it'll tie all this stuff together, and then I'll seal it all up and put the screws in and call it good. So at least all the sheet metal's around the bottom of this. This piece was about 3/4 of an inch too short, but I don't care. So back here in this corner, you can see where it doesn't line up. It's the same on the other side. I'll probably try and do something to change that. Actually, I see that I have a short piece of this stuff right here. I can probably, yeah, I'll do that. I'll just cut a chunk, fit it in there on either side, and cover up that gap. But it's not a big deal. Didn't even need to cover all the way down over that tube there. Just that's the size of the piece that I had. So anyways, we're getting there on this thing, and hopefully I'm gonna get this side screwed down, and I'll start working these corners. Start working the corners, getting them fit like the fronts, and then it's down to a whole bunch of sealant, going through and getting all the old crap off and putting new crap on, and moving on to other things in the project, which is clean up to start with, clean all this crap out of here, and then start insulating and sheeting the inside. All right, that worked out. I had to flatten some bends in that piece. You can still see that, but there's also the rain gutter that hangs over this, so you won't be able to see too much. But that way it's pretty well sealed. I am going to probably end up using the thinner butyl, not the putty tape. We'll use the thinner butyl between these two layers and try and suck them in tight with screws. And then the thicker putty butyl will go, you know, all the way around the door frame to seal that up. To get this stuff off that is still stuck on, I found if I use my propane torch and just heat it up real quick, that stuff will just come right off. So I'm gonna start scraping that up and try and get this door put in and sealed up and done. And then once that's done, then I'll just kind of keep working to the back, and I'll probably rip the windows out, get those sealed up, and then I'm going to start sealing up corners and use whatever I have. I have a bunch of that 2-inch wide butyl that I used on the roof. I have a bunch of that left over, and if I double it up and put it underneath the corner trims, then maybe it'll work too if I run out of the putty. Alright, show you what I'm talking about. Okay, and of course I lost the butter knife that came in this camper. I was using it over here trying to pry this metal out, and I don't know where I put it, so I'm gonna have to pause you guys and go find it, oh, there it is. I found it on the ground. Okay, so this might have cooled down too much already, but oh no, you can see now it just comes right off. Like easy. And I already hit this stuff up here before I fired up the camera. So yeah, that's the easy way to get it off. If anybody's wanting to do this, it saves lots of time. But it's a pain to video it and show you at the same time, so I'm just going to go ahead and strip all that, and I'll bring you back in a minute. Alright, we got our door in. Oh, I was going to put the rain gutter back on. It fell off and hit me in the head, you know, because I didn't put any screws in it. But I was kind of nervous when I started doing this, because I put that butyl tape in there. When I peeled the paper off, that butyl pulled down, and so I had to kind of saw this black plastic piece up into it and get it stuffed back up in there. So there's a layer up in it, and then this goes on the outside. So I'm not worried about leaks here. I wish I would have trimmed that off a little bit better. Really wish I would have trimmed it off better, because this door didn't fit back where the lines were. So oh well, it doesn't matter. But I ran out of new screws. I've dug through and found the best of the old screws and put them in there. I think at this point, because the hardware stores are not open tomorrow, Ace is, but I bought out their last box and I doubt they have any more yet. So I'm gonna run and go get some more screws so I can keep plugging away on this tomorrow. I've got to stop lying to you guys. Nothing major, but I said I was gonna use the butyl putty tape on the corners and use the black butyl on the windows, and I had to look at how much I had left, and that wasn't gonna happen today, and nobody has it in town that's open today. So yeah, I ended up using the black on the corners, which actually worked really nice. That way it's not two pieces and you're relying on the aluminum. It's sealed with the tape, the aluminum's just covering it, so that actually worked really well. I gotta clean this piece up and reshape it. It's all beat up and bent up, so I'll do a little bit of hammer work on it and then stick it on there, and then I got a whole bunch of screws to run in. Then we'll go over to the other side and we'll pull it apart, take that one off, clean it all up like we did this side, rinse and repeat. Then we'll go to the back and we'll do those, and we'll be sealed up. And just like that, I just had to order a couple more boxes of screws. I've bought out all the screws in town, and I need a few hundred more to replace all of them. So at least all the corners are sealed up. I went to pull the front and back windows, and those are actually still stuck and sealed, and looking at the framing inside, they aren't rotted out around them, so I left them. I can always pull them and seal them later. I went around with the lights off and looked for daylight out through. There was a couple spots, so I siliconed those from the inside, and then once it dries, I'm going to go and hit them from the outside. But in the meantime, I think what I'm going to do is clean the inside of this thing out, get it all swept up, and start working some insulation. I did notice there's no screws in that panel up into the frame, and there weren't any from the factory either. So I think I'm going to put some in there to hold that up, otherwise it just kind of flops. Other than that, The front is kind of the same way. I might end up doing that too. And yeah, I just want to get it cleaned out. And then I was realizing that there's only 4 screws holding the floor in place. I didn't want to put a whole bunch of screws in it and then have to try and offset them a 1/4 inch or something if things shifted. But now I know that it is not moving anymore, so I'm actually going to go through and put a bunch of screws around in this whole floor to make sure the whole thing is locked down to the trailer nice and tight. So little cleanup, little screwing the floor down, and then I probably should put the wiring back together and make sure it works, and then start insulating the walls so I can get the sheeting put in here instead of leaned up against my wall. I don't know if you guys are enjoying this camper build or not. It's definitely not what you found the channel for with the Jeep, but let's face it, that Jeep's not going to last forever. That project isn't, and you know, this is something I want to do for my growing family, so I have more room, and it's just something that came about. So hopefully you're enjoying it. It's something different. You don't see a whole lot of this type of stuff, and honestly, most people don't want to tackle a project like this, but oh well. I'm too cheap to go buy a $15,000 camper when I got it for free, and I think I'm gonna have about $400 into it, depending on the axle and tires and all that stuff. But I have a bunch of that stuff laying around, and I'm not too worried about it. So anyways, if you're liking it, throw a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please do. It would definitely help. And I'll keep rolling on this thing tomorrow when I got some more screws.